And so we gather here today in memoriam and in tribute to the godfather of our poetic voyage on earth, Rizzi, who is lost but not gone. Of all the money that ever I had, I spent it in good company, and of all the harm that ever I done, alas, it was to none of me. For all I've done, for want of wit, to memory now I can't recall. So fill to me the parting glass. Good night and joy be with you all. Of all the comrades that ever I had, they're sorry for my going away. And of all the sweethearts that ever I had, I wish them one more day to stay. But as it falls unto my lot that I must go and you must not, I will gently rise and softly fall. Good night and joy be with you all. Richard Rizzi, Foxholes 1. The last dancer to get in. Around the edge of mirrors, mirror thought to be time, space, and self becomes the text. I am planting the remains of Rizzi. It is a perfect mistake. No weather in literature. My politics as a criminal in hiding, I saw nothing. But from the viewpoint of a lunatic, I saw everything before it happened. We all have a target. And the target is to steal the mind of the 21st century. The great dog left in the gutter, bleeding knowledge into the sewer, and the faithful artist running down the street screaming, "Oh, my body is sold too cheap." My vision was mistaken for the head of the Messiah. No name can be mentioned until twilight. Foxholes 2. The last dreamer to get in. If a war began in your suit, say, on a dull Sunday, and the whole world refused to believe that you could make a difference to a system that used generations of people and the problems of love and only small matters when things are done for, let's say, a revolution could begin. I salute this and then I destroy. Bring me all your naked money, fast, for a better world. Of course, we could even make believe there is still ways in and out of windows for jumping away from the struggle of existence. In a new suit, and a new hat, and a new life. Foxholes 3. The last talker in the nude to get in. My lover turns the night into her cries. I die in the idea of blood. Wash my naked face away from the dust. Your voice haunts the sick mind of your danger. I am wounded and lost in some building. I smell from my music, sung low and sung long. And when it ends, the beautiful bystander will buy our remains to eat as a cake when the day is done.
I won't say much other than we always knew this day would come, and I feel really honored to share his collage that he created, and we're all a part of it. A masterpiece dedicated to my wife, Susan. If two people met under a tree, what would they say? In the middle of my heart is a little red house. In this little house is an extraordinary large painting that covers all the walls and windows, ceiling and floor. Only leaving a little door to the outside world, the large painting is a portrait of Puccini. At 100 years old, if he lived to be that age, there is tenderness in his eyes. The punctuated mouth, the pronounced nose is proportionately to the size of his head, yet the emotional range becomes a solo in your mind. The contradiction after a few moments brings one to life on fire. Hell is no longer an alternative. Space became the only melody allowed to breathe the pain of understanding. One must die for the passion, to even murmur what is needed to contradict destiny. The tension of the voice willing to end it all. The odor of death in the sacrifice. Its rhythms alone are essential to lose control, laughing at the danger, refusing the gods to dismiss his applause to the grave. This is a question I asked him often. Why are you an artist, Mr. Rizzi? Midway between my mouth and my testicles, I found a road to an inclined point, inhabitants from unknown worlds tracing my tongue. Later in life, the use of more words ejaculated fluid, horizontal thoughts. I could avoid the true critical moment of a chemical imbalance of my brain, listening to a jukebox, mourning the loss of my dog, Jumbo. My voice became an instrument so I could reach the lower levels of hell in an unnamed thing hanging on the wall. The condition of my mind reached a conscious level, and I became normal in my behavior as an artist. My skin coloring gradually left my body, largely due to environmental stimuli. Without reason, I could go mad. Negative spaces got my cat to sing. I revolted day and night to ensure my place in history, moving the intellect to examine the reaction of others. In portraits, naked trees, real things in the kingdom, motor vehicles, seasons, nauseated at the end of each hour, I would destroy the work. Unwilling to conceal myself, I became an outcast with a disease from outer space. With the gesture of my hands, I could announce who I was becoming, a silhouette smoking cocaine to overcome the size of my feet. Ears, nose, I delivered speeches to the Buddha in laughter. Stilled as a singer, I made my voice sound like thunder or a coyote cheating death. I drank the color blue so I could piss at the sky. I drank the color red to match the fire in my eyes. I became devoted to the absence of humanity. I became absolutely free. And forever, in a tube of excess, squeeze. Squeeze to establish contact, the bread and wine. Holy Eucharist. Holy shit.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name's Jose. I'm going to read a couple of Rizzi poems for you. Late afternoon, looking for a bullseye. A pair of pretty legs. A tablecloth looks like the sky. Somewhere in my mind, I reached a different destination. A very rare moment when the eye and the unforgettable meet by chance. A prearranged character necessary to inspire. There is always an exit in this universe, a rendezvous, scratching the wall with the drawing of a window, an adventure with a chimpanzee, and an Indian running the streets with a crowd of imbeciles determined to exhaust God. I'm disguised as a slaughter in a remote part of the world. It's the first Sunday that ever was and will be. I recognize the Indian as a giant who fell ill in my arms and gradually died in Brooklyn. I was with the wrong woman who carried a text about a dream that will never happen. I erased her pain by eating her body, small pieces at a time. First I told her I would take pictures of the pieces I would eat, and then I told her how I starved as a child. There are always invaders coming into my words. I can only resist for so long. There is no propaganda when we get hungry for love. The unknown pornographer lives next door, speaks French, just like Andre Breton. Example, if we think brutality in America during the day, by night it becomes French. The following day it becomes some Englishman in China, with a spiritual itinerary. I want to become a displacement looking for Eve. Open a funeral parlor next to a whorehouse. In the time of Shakespeare when nobody ever heard of a bomb or quoted the air-conditioned nightmare. The next generation should all be left in the womb with a bank book and a meat axe. Fascinating to see the future after it happened. Barely wounded with a bitch who won't wake up. Stella was right. When the birds start singing, look out. You have become a victim of your own creation. All right, so the second poem I'm going to read is entitled Psychology Before Rain Falls. Landscape waiting and a sponge-naked man puts on a yellow coat. Accentuated his talk to reach the truth about the shape of his head, becoming an apple. Shadows are no longer necessary. Reduce the accident to conceal the world in a closed mouth. Detail of arms enter a dream returning from war. Attempt to move apple when no one is looking. I find a corpse to call my own. There is no evidence that I occupy a body that was given to me by Otto Dix. I am exposed tonight, left its mark in a private place for romance. Under the melody, I pretend to be terrified holding a tree in the name of Mangarilla. The resurrection took place when 2 moons caught fire. By no means was it a puzzle calculated by the descendants of a hunchback born out of the dust. Too many birds in a broken house. Time turned evil. No longer could sing for redemption. The fair lady was a pistol-packing mama, talking Latin faster than a suicide. At the end of the sword, she closed the garden. In the season that was silent, continued to bleed. At sunset, I waited by the Palace of Skulls for 24 hours for the sirens. The aged virgin with eyes like a statue went wrong in the smoke. Things that have no end. Slaughter never returns to the action. Privilege for killers who conquer wind. The excess of talk now is the heart connected to an electric chair. The eyelids flat, making rain to wash God's face. A suitable place to shut down the bombs. Dance in the clouds in the arms of Jack Dempsey. Don't let the flies bullshit the crow with the future of war. Thank you. Woo! It's hot. I want to introduce Michael to the stage, Rizzi's brother-in-law. He's going to say a few words.
I'm not using a microphone. Can you? Use the mic.
No one can hear you.
Use the mic, babe. Use the microphone. Roll down.
I get my.
There you go. Good.
Thank you,
No,
Michael.
it's okay.
I feel like I'm a commercial. And you people are watching a great movie and keeping it flow, and I come on for 3 minutes. 3 minutes and 20 seconds. Good afternoon. Please allow me to just 3 minutes and 20 seconds of your time. My name is Michael Mandel. I'm a longtime companion of Barbara Della Femina, Richard Rizzi's sister. Why am I standing here today feeling compelled to speak about Richard? The truth is, I only met the guy a few times in my life, and then only at family lunches. In quaint country diners, each lasting but a few short hours. I did learn, though, that he loved cheesecake, New York style, I believe. At first, I thought of him as having been a cruel villain from what was told to me by his younger sister, Barbara. Let me proceed. His closest friend used to call her Dizzy Rizzi. She recently revealed to me that as a young girl, Richard tortured and scared the hell out of her by forcing her to listen with him to nightly radio horror programs. In the dark, no less. They're up with murder, torture, sprinkled with insanity and incest. Programs like The Shadow, Inner Sanctum, and The Fat Man. If truth be told, as a young lad in the 1940s, I too loved to listen to the radio. But I was enthralled by light fare, such as the Goldbergs, Fidelity and Molly, and the Great Gildersleeve, all comedy. No matter now. I had the privilege of sitting next to him at these lunches. Both, having been in the military, we exchanged war stories, mostly of a humorous nature. As he had been an enlisted man, and I a former U.S. infantry officer stationed at Fort Benning, Georgia, he always showed me respect, though he never saluted me upon arriving or leaving. I call that insubordination. In our early get-togethers, he was funny, knowledgeable, interesting, and talkative. The moments together always flew by too quickly. As he modestly once told me that as a young man traveling around the world, he had great success with the ladies. Maybe I shouldn't have seen any. He never went into detail, though. I thought then of my own insecure fumbling and bumbling around young masters and envied his great skills in that department. I never did excel in the chase. As the years went by, and we annually or semi-annually met at those open diners, I felt a slow change come over him. He was less talkative, a bit somber, and a bit removed. It was only then, through conversations with family members, that I learned who the real Richard Rizzi actually was. A poet, an artist, a teacher, and publicly at times, a wild and crazy guy. He loved my all. I now think of him often and actually miss those intimate lunches we shared. Thank you.
I don't really know how to follow that. I had a whole lot of things I was going to say, but I think I'm just going to let the man speak for himself. Homage to Frida Kahlo by Richard Rizzi. On the second floor of death, just before you see God's mother with the washcloth, and she's smiling like a snake with buck teeth, singing, la 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 choo choo. You get the key to the second room, you open the door, it turns into a large green room. Holding his horse in his arms, smiling out loud, he's a G-man. And he's sweating blood in a gold cup. He brings you to the master in a stream of consciousness. He has your portrait. When you were setting your ass on fire in order to preconceive who you wanted to become on the walls of mercy. There is a bell. If you were to change your date of death, let me know. All you have to do is blink, and the bell will ring by the frequencies in our apartment, just at the time. That brings you close to the blues or closer to me, my sweetness, smelling, scared as a motherfucker. It must be my keen sense of smell from the animal in me. I can smell you from around the corner, from the war on the third floor of death is the mummy caught in a dilemma. The fluids from its body are now creating buildings looking like, Oh, bird of prey, come to me at the gates of your hell. Place a hot rod in my belly. Turn it in, and now you reach the fourth floor of death. You are alone, hooked on some lunacy. You glued your eyes to the moon to build a bridge, and it's too late for romance. The monster is constantly reoccurring, leaving wounds in my words to be broken for a thrill every fifth hour. I'm kneeling to a bomb to contact my country, got lost in the delusional lover, those encounters with too many I had to worship a cannibal so not to be eaten. Do you see triangles with voices? Once I realized I was attracted to hitmen who once were hermaphrodites. My life got better. On the fifth floor of death, I met an outlaw in a coffin, afflicted by some invasion before the darkness came. Philomena, who was changed into a nightingale. In the future, it will always be a pure fact. The door will be closed, footsteps still heard from lovers without wings. A candelabra whose flame drowned the wind under the doorway stays with me until my hair fills the alley and my bones end time. I am alone with the dead, remembering this poor old woman selling her eyes to find food for the birds. What is that noise that maneuvers my heart to destiny? Is there news of the end? A polished moon has my tongue. New lovers come all the way from Paris, disguised as leaves. I can give testimony of Magdalene weeping, consuming eternity. A simple bitch on a doorstep with a dog distracting night. I am lazy from laughter. And my real appetite, thrilled by the slimy belly fat with child, ear to ear the years spent. Do a jig to wrinkle the sky. Another world comes home to purchase my flesh. The broken bed and the undesired odor look for a moment into my face. There are traces of indifference. Crackle ice whispers. Enter the agony with no rain. Only the sweat of rocks could house my voice. There is always another corpse to water my naked garden.
Get me to the Buddha on time. Get me to the Buddha on time, and the time, and the time, and the Buddha on time, and the time, and the Buddha time, a time, time, time. I take a thought that's transparent. Dust is hit when you blow it up. Somehow the moon is back. Get me to the Buddha. For no apparent reason, I am reminded of a human voice, and the time, and the time, and the time, 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 on the Buddha time, the Buddha on time, on the time, on the time, a time, a time, a time. My eyes are two pieces of wire attached to the belly of the Buddha. My only hope is that the sky don't go too far. With the Buddha on time, I am walking on the other side of the Buddha. In my hands sits the Buddha's wives making love to themselves. On time, on time. I have an ocean hanging from my tongue. Everyone is giving birth to everyone. Buffalo Bill riding the subway. He folded up his big white horse and put it in his breast pocket. Stood still, remembered he was dreaming. A black desert full of shadows. Forgot to wear his guns and romanticized gravity. I am a cowboy in the dark. The subway is still landscape, passing through the skull of a crow. Paint my name in bones. Cover my death with imagination. Stones that speak of birds reminiscent of a time when the earth stood naked and whose fate was connected to the animal. He woke from the dream as a red man who could not move the spirit of a wind. The conflict became a picture depicting the law, the last buffalo, the changing frontier. I am a warrior being transported. I am to be tamed and decorated with artifacts, clothing to inspire and haunt the unborn cowboy. I am a witness searching for attention, evoking with a necessity to cause an event and to capture a world waiting for the opportunity to ride bareback into reality. Surrounded by sky and stars and above the water, a large figure sits with a feather that in the moving dust with a secret meaning and a silent dance to serve final sleep. A hole in the memory in which we all talk the same word. Life!
Rizzi's, all you Rizzi's. And Sue up. Fatal question. The conversation a killer has with himself after dark. Nature has no eyebrows to impress the ordinary folks. It's a fact. If you escape a bullet, a mutual affection takes place at the bar window. In Greek mythology, the young god dresses up as a serving woman, filling up each glass with moonlight before taking your bite. You may be reborn over again as a bird in a cardboard box in a fine atmosphere. I had to disguise myself as an Austrian soldier in order to fall in love with a Spanish bullfighter. I assured myself in front of the mirror that the costume was a temple of pleasure, and therefore belonged to the world. My little black mustache following the outline of a perfect cutout of a war. A loud applause came from the mirror. I drifted into my lover's arms as the bowl fell from the paintbrush and made its exit in a fast-moving automobile. Shall we drive into the financial section of town? I'm a beggar with a good ear for a tune. The opening line is a journey through hell, and you accidentally meet a lady missing her jewels. Eventually, you take her to bed on a dirty street, and in a single glance, the damage to my heart arrived in the future. Civilization can't divert its eyes. Certain pieces of our bodies were placed in a suitcase. For reasons of discretion, they were loaded onto a train departing from Munich. My instincts made me talk slow, and I would pronounce each word with the difficulties, my attempt to get the suitcase from the train, and of course, the fatal question: do you speak at 5 in the afternoon? When the train reached Frankfurt, the vocabulary constructed a place with a glass wall where you could watch your life go by a second at a time, a short pause for mistakes. I entered the kiss as a farewell, but my lips robbed the grave, and the shade from my voice like a thief without hands placed in your pocket the years of the heart. I overheard the Chinese vase between two oranges mention the killer smokes for satisfaction. Translate the information that allows you to go into the polished surface of a laugh. The murderous flower indeed is waiting by the luggage. What's wrong with the starlight in your eyes? 21st century American temple, Rizzi's dynasty. In this world, I dance by the edge of the sky and become enlightened. It is beautiful to have 2,000 hands and feet to dance at the foot of the mountain. It is beautiful to become immortal by the river that moves north by the palm fields. It is beautiful to regret learning how to kill for humanity. It is beautiful to be dead and come back to the same body in a dream. It is beautiful to have tears fall from my eyes to water the flowers born from my song. Mr. Rizzi, January 18th, 2006, 5:25 a.m.
At the hospital. So he wanted to take care of himself, and he emailed me something that he wanted you all to hear, a poem he wrote. And it goes like this. Rizzi, one man visit, packs his sacks and calls him visit. When the gods come out to play, Rizzi walks away. Little children call it day, Rizzi, yes you may. I'm Robert, son number 2, and some of you may know that, what's my word?
Robert, back off the mic.
A little bit? Like this?
A little bit.
Like this?
Yeah.
Is it good? I kind of like when it sounds boomy. Makes me sound well, anyway, so my dad and I used to work together. He would read his poem, and I would make some kind of sounds. And 7 or 8 years ago, I asked him to read the poem for me. And Susan recorded it. It's the poem, some of you may know, Virgin Mary Falls from the Sleep. And I asked the soprano to kind of improvise as she was listening to the poem. And I recorded that. And between soprano and Richard, I made this piece.
Virgin Mary falls from my sleep. I wanted to be with her always, ever since I heard her name and saw her face. My first night, forbidden thoughts, I was at the top of the stairs, half man, half animal, my voice hidden by her body. A blue veil, warm as November night, curved from her breast. myself. She was bleeding words on my hands. I licked each one slowly, carefully believing that each word would bring me closer, make me stronger, delicate closer, to the smell and not touch the scared, sacred flesh of a woman who could not exist for no one but an empty world. Placed my tree.
An ode, in need of a cathode, a certain position, that of the internal explorer, who went searching from pole to pole, yet not on this planet, this solar system, but in the inner world. Thus finding phrase and palette that was laid down in pigment and in water with ink to let us in to no doubt your toil and torment and pleasure and joy. You're a man of masks, a demon of disguise, who learned his lingo from his mother, as we all do. She taught him our language, insisted that lasagnas were plural in English as in Italian. It was Hasta Razul and Bafancool from day one. But your fate was on that plate, and it made you who you were. It gave you the courage and the strength and the curiosity to go out searching from pole to pole and again. It made you a scholar and student, a soldier carrying a piece, and a disabled veteran carrying a saxophone. You were once Meisterschucker in Hell's Kitchen, mixing martinis. You were a hustler, a hippie at the same time. You were a bebop and beatnik. You were an atheist with a fading Jesus tattoo. You were a practicing Buddhist with the face of a Jew. A husband twice over, a father twice. Once a dying doctor, and a man who lied about washing his clothes in that famous laundromat, and transformed into a savage madman, slurping up his dessert off the stage floor, all in the course of 80 minutes. You were Mr. Cody who took that subway ride. You took the A train uptown. And like his, you had a traveling circus, a show that went on tour all over the world, including Japan, but many times to Europe. You had humor too. Many of the poems tonight this afternoon show you're a man of humor. Who else would have told the journalists about a New Year's resolution? Next year, I will become an even more exquisite example of myself. Perhaps the polarization the negative and the positive, the black and the white, the plus and the minus, weren't that dichotomous as it seems. I think, as an old Roman word goes, that virtue stands in the middle, and I think that the poles were really just your favorite term, juxtapositions. You were just like that all the time. Once declining a signed and dedicated poster at the very renowned artist in a gallery in downtown Manhattan. It would be too heavy to carry back home to you. These were the notions that I could come up with today. And I think it was best to clarify himself. Written underneath the photograph of a bearded man who disliked nature and lived in the country. Where he wrote, "This man does not exist anymore." That's mostly true, and it's definitely true today. Richard John, you abandoned us many times, and you left us once again. Last. That's why we're over here today.